Rick, it is an honor to have a chance to speak with you because of your position. What we're going to talk about, the band that you are with. Let me just get right into that. What legendary band are you with what legendary artists?
Okay. I have been with the Lightfoot Band for 55, now 56 years.
Wow.
And I joined Gordon in 1968. I'm what they laughingly call the oldest living member of the band. And the Lightfoot Band has been touring and recording those great songs that you know and love with Gord all these years, starting for me in 1968. Of course, Gord started before that, but it was my honor and privilege to join with him in 68 and been with him ever since.
Amazing. I've had the honor of being friends with Gordon for 20 years. And it was
Yes,
a and it was
indeed.
an amazing way. Sorry.
You did an interview with him back, not 20 years ago, but yeah, less than that. About
Yeah,
50.
I've probably did, I would say maybe 10 interviews with him
Yeah,
over the years.
over the
Uh
years. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and I've been lucky enough to be invited to his home several times. I've
Yep.
been invited to parties with him, and it always makes me, I mean, I've even had his cell number, and it always makes me scratch my head going, I'm sitting here with Gordon Lightfoot. Now that
Right.
was 20 years. What was it like 55 years to be with this amazing person?
It was quite a ride. It was truly amazing. I mean, 55 years ago, I had been a musician for a while and a bass player for a while. I was playing in R&B bands around Toronto. And when I got the opportunity to audition and then join Gordon's band, which was only a trio in those days, it it, it was really special moment because I felt this is something different. This guy, I started really digging into his catalog, what he had thus far, listening to his songs, listening to his songwriting, the way he crafted things about, all the different things he did. Canadiana, the love songs, the sea shanties, all the different kinds of things he was doing. I thought, man, this guy is really different. He's really something, and I really wanted to play in his band.
And you were able to do that. I know how hard it hit me losing Gord.
Mhm. It was
What was
very
it like
hard.
for you?
It was very hard because one reason was I didn't think he was going to go that soon. He was, as you probably well know, he was a pretty tough kind of a guy. And he was, I thought he would be around quite a lot longer, even with the ups and downs, the medical issues and so forth, kind of maybe like Willie Nelson, for example.
Yeah.
I thought Gord would have that kind of lasting staying power, but he did pass, and it was a shock. And it's been quite a long year of grievance for all of us.
But we celebrate his life, and you and many other artists did this in a very special way at a place that has been called uh, Gordon Lightfoot's home. What
Yes.
happened recently that is going to air during Canada Day weekend on CBC Radio?
Well, it's going to air on CBC Radio and on CBC streaming services, and it's the full. I'm not sure. Maybe they're going to edit it down a little bit because I'm not privy to all the details. But what they wanted to do was to get a group of major artists of various diversities from Canada to come along and sing Gordon's songs, different selected songs that they wanted to. Partly they wanted to choose, partly it was suggested, and it's quite an eclectic group of artists singing wonderful songs written by Gord.
What was that like to watch? And if you remember, who were some of the artists that were involved? But what was it like to be part of that, to see all of these artists saluting such a major icon through his music?
I got to say, Rudy, it was heartwarming because, as I've always felt, Gord really deserved the accolades.
Yeah.
I mean, he was an outstanding international superstar, And to see him honored that way by other Canadians was really heartwarming, is the best word I can think of right now. I mean, we got to start with our set actually started with Tom Wilson Te Hohahaki. And he is a really interesting gentleman. And he has a story to tell, but he has a real love for Gord, and he has a real feeling for doing his material. Then we had Gordon's daughter, Meredith Moon, do 3 songs. And Meredith, I think, really surprised a lot of people the way she came out and performed. And then, we also did a song with Tom Cochrane. Tom Cochrane did the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald with Bill Bell playing guitar along with the Lightfoot band. So we really had a full complement of people on stage, kind of like maybe the early Eagles back in the 70s, with that big sound with all these guys playing different instruments. That was really good. And then City and Color came on, and Dallas did Sundown with us. And that was very exciting for all of us too.
And people should realize City and Color, they don't just get together just for the heck of it. There's got to be something to bring them together. And to be able to do this show, that's iconic on its own. How did you get through the show? I mean, it must have been fun, but emotional at the same time because Gordon wasn't there.
That's right. And we were in Massey Hall. And Massey Hall is kind of the home for the Lightfoot band. We've played there so many times with Gordon. So getting through was, I wouldn't say easy, but I will say that it got so busy that day. I mean, they wanted us on set at 7:30 in the morning to start setups and rehearsals, even though we had rehearsed the day before. So it became a really long day, and everybody was really busy. But I have to say, Rudy, and you've been around these kinds of scenes enough to know how hectic and disjointed it can get. And it went off really, really well. I mean, my hat's off to Massey Hall and all the fine folks, kind of led by Chris Topping, to do a fantastic job of getting it all sort of herding cats, if you will, herding us all into places and getting us all on schedule. And it really went off very well. And it was very exciting for all of us.
How do you think Gordon would have felt about this?
I think he would have been very pleased. I'm sure he would have come to me after the show with a list of notes and saying, okay, now get the guys together and we have to fix this and we have to fix that. That was Gordon. He was a perfectionist. He really was. He was really a perfectionist, and he drove himself the hardest. So how do you fault a guy like that? I mean, if it's one thing for somebody being a real tough guy to work for and trying to give you orders all the time, but when he leads that way and he's the toughest on himself, there's no argument. It's a pleasure. It was always a pleasure to work with Gordon.
What do you hope fans will get, for the ones who weren't at Massey to the ones who are going to be part of this during Canada Day weekend? What do you hope they experience from this?
I hope they, first of all, get some sense of closure from this event, which to me seems sort of like an extension of the funeral, which was private back last year. So I hope it brings some kind of closure to people. I hope it helps people understand the diversity of Gord, his scope of art. I mean, in so many ways, Gord was a multidimensional artist who painted pictures, as Tom Cochrane alluded to when he inducted Gord into the Canadian Writers Hall of Fame. So there's a lot of things that I hope people get from this, but I hope people just really had a good time at the show. And I believe they did.
And last question, what do you hope, how do you want Gordon to be remembered?
I want Gordon to be remembered as I always believe that he is the greatest singer-songwriter of our era and a wonderful man, wonderful Canadian.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My friend, thank you so much for doing this interview. Thanking everybody who put this together. This is going to be a very special Canada Day. Like I said, I couldn't make the show, but I'm definitely going to be listening and watching the broadcast too. on streaming and on radio. I love Gord, miss him so much, and I can't wait for the experience. Thank you again for the interview.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on.